What's up YouTube, it's your boy Mike here from PeoplesChoiceGaming, and today I have a guide for you for Damage 2.0 in patch 11.5. This is the Grineer version. I'm going to start with the changes. Now, flesh is called clone flesh. However, it's still flesh like it was before. It's just that it's not like Grineer, it's all Grineer. Basically, they've individualized. It's kind of like what they did for Infested. By breaking things up, they did the same for Grineer. Basically, all Grineer have a clone flesh, and I think it's when you're going against Ruck. Correct me if I'm wrong. Could be another boss, but when you're going against one of them bosses, the Lotus talks about the cloning and how, and then the boss talks about how he's cloning Grineer a bunch and whatnot. And basically, if you read up on it, clone flesh is weak from all the cloning, which that kind of just follows the storyline. They're trying to add story to it, and this is why they got to wear armor. And there's two types of armor, alloy and ferrite. And before we jump to that, let me knock machinery out real quick. All that is rollers and regulators. Regulators are the things up in the air that give the Grineer the damage buff. They're on Phobos. Rollers are rollers. You all know what rollers are. And nothing really you need to worry about. It's just machinery. You don't need to spec for it. And then we got two types of armor, ferrite and alloy. Now, alloy is, hold on one second here, get rid of these tabs to make everything easier. Cloned alloy, there's my table. And this is ferrite. Okay, alloy. It's only 4 enemies: bombards, elite lancers, eviscerators, and napalms. Now, one of those, which is eviscerators, also have ferrite. Now, this is nothing you need to worry about. It does not mean anything when it comes to your build. So basically, radiation is going to give a plus 75% bonus against these 4 types. Don't worry about that. You're not going to spec for 4 different enemy types. Alright? And you're going to see why that the radiation is not going to matter at all in a second here. So these 4 wear alloy. Eviscerators wear both alloy and ferrite. And they fall under clone flesh. Because like I said, all Grineer are clone flesh. And viral gives a 75% bonus against clone flesh. So if you see where I'm driving at, you're going to understand the viral is the new best powerhouse against Grineer, because it gives a 75% bonus against all Grineer. That's what's awesome about viral. Now, however, you need to understand corrosive is still awesome against Grineer, because it gives a plus 75% bonus against ferrite, which is the other type of armor. And the ferrite armor Grineer are all these Grineer. Now, here's the difference between the whole viral versus corrosive thing. Just because an enemy appears in ferrite armor section and they appear in clone flesh, that don't mean you're going to do the same exact damage with viral as you will corrosive. And you're probably wondering, well, why? They both do 75% bonus and the enemy's falling in both categories, so why wouldn't I? Well, honestly, the reason I think it is because some of the enemies that you do more damage with corrosive than viral, like lancers and troopers and commanders and whatnot, well, those enemies have more armor than health, and I think that's why you do better damage with corrosive. Now, there's some enemies that you do better with viral than corrosive, yet they still fall in both categories. And it's like lancers, scorches, shield lancers, or sorry, it's shield lancers, scorches, and I think maybe it might have been butchers, something like that. And the reason why is because they had more health. And I think that's because, you know, since corrosive is all about doing more damage against ferrite armor, and those enemies have more, you know, quote-unquote armor, that's why the corrosive does a little more damage. However, they both give the 75% bonus, so it's only a little bit more damage. Now, none of that really matters that much, because for the few that corrosive does more damage and for the few that viral does more damage, it's only slightly more, so it's not a big deal. The big difference comes into play for the enemy types that don't even appear in ferrite armor. Now, they're ones that have alloy. Now, the fact that they don't have ferrite, but they're obviously going to be in clone flesh because all Grineer are clone flesh, makes a big difference, because you're going to get your 75% bonus with viral. However, you're going to get no bonus with corrosive. And we have some very important enemies that this applies to. We got two powerhouses, the bombards and the napalms. They're hard to take down, and they do a shitload of damage, and they're very important to deal with right away and deal with properly. And they're going to be in your toughest defense and your toughest survivals, and you got to mod for them accordingly. And both of them have alloy armor, so they don't appear in ferrite armor. However, obviously they appear in clone flesh, so therefore viral is the best against them. So this is a big one-up on viral. And so for a lot of them, a lot of the enemy types, you'll do a little, like for 4 or 5, corrosive will do 15-20 more damage. And then for viral, for 4 or 5, you'll do 15 or 20 more with viral as to corrosive. So it kind of averages out. But for the bombards and the napalms, you're going to do a lot more with viral, and that's very important. And there's another one, scorches. Now, scorches do appear in the ferrite. However, they have a lot more health than armor. And so do, I think, shield lancers. Let me double check. Yes, a lot more health than armor. And enemies have a lot more health and armor, especially since this last damage curve they did, where they have lessened the armor a lot on higher level enemies. That makes a big difference for viral too. So that's even more enemies now that viral is going to be better than corrosive. And then lastly, the biggest difference in my opinion is elite lancers. When you're doing defense and high level survival, you're going to notice 80% of the enemy types are all elite lancers, and then you have a big chunk of shield lancers, and then a few ballista or a few scorpions, which they're so easy they don't matter. And then you got your big guys, your bombards and your napalms. So we already said bombards and napalms, which are so important, viral is best against. And then for the whole rest of the map, you're going to be constantly ran into by elite lancers, which do a lot of damage. And same with shield lancers, and shield lancers knock you down, so they're a big pain in the ass too. And viral is going to do a lot better against those enemy types too. So when it comes to weighing the scales, viral just does better more of the time against more important enemies. It's the easiest way I can explain it to you. So that's why you want to use viral. However, corrosive still does really well. So if you have to use corrosive, like on a weapon like the Synapse, go for it. And I'm going to explain that more in my Synapse video. But I don't want to go any more into it, because I'm going to just confuse you. I'm pretty sure I've explained it well enough. When it comes to Grineer, use viral for your best overall damage. Also, corrosive is good too, but viral is the best. Best way I can explain it. So I hope this helped you out, guys, and trust me, I've tested it. I took a very average weapon up to like level 100, 120 Grineer and was spanking it with viral. I'm telling you, it performs just like I thought it would. And all my testing, proved well. And, and the corrosive did good too, but it definitely didn't kill as quick. Alright, so please comment, like, and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys later. Peace.